Join the team.
Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and today we are going to take a look at the brand new Nemesis. I mean, guys, look at this. It is absolutely awesome. Awaken Realms brought us Lords of Hellas. That's shipping actually currently right now, and now they are coming right back and delivering Nemesis. Now, we did get a look at this at Essen, and I do now have a full prototype edition of this game. You'll see here on the back of the box, prototype, and everything that you do see here today and what we're going to go through is in prototype state. So it is not full production. There may be some things visually, artistic-wise, maybe even with some of the models and models to come. Again, who knows what's going to hit with this Kickstarter that's going to be starting really soon. Bear's all excited about that one. He's still got the holiday hat on. You're rocking it, buddy. The thing that I'm most excited about telling you guys today is we are going to do another epic level giveaway. That's right. We are giving away this Nemesis prototype, Awaken Realms. Rebels on this one as well. We're going to give it away, and this is how it's going to work. We are going to run this starting right now. So if you're watching this video, it has officially started. You want to hit that subscribe button, be a subscriber of the channel, as well as on this one, follow me on Twitter. Now, the reason to that is because I do a lot of the contest announcements through Twitter, and it's just an easier platform to be able to reach everybody at once. I will also pin the winner to the comments below once the winner is selected, and it is a random draw from the comments. So you got to hit that subscribe button, be a subscriber of the channel, make a comment below, and follow me on Twitter, and you will be officially entered. It's that easy. Bam, 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 super quick. A link to Twitter is in the description below, so that's very quick as well. And you'll be entered to win this entire prototype. And I'll tell you, we're going to go through these models here and get some close-up views of all this stuff, but specifically these unbelievable models and miniatures. They have done, once again, a fantastic job with the sculpts and the work of these. They are just unbelievable. I was beside myself when I was unpacking these and looking at them. And what have they done, once again, for us? They have given us the Sundrop technology here that they utilize on their miniatures, which they've done with Lords of Hellas as well, to give you a somewhat pre-painted miniature. And I'll tell you, on these, it works perfect. I actually wouldn't want to put anything more on these, taking the fact that these alien miniatures, and we'll get to the actual heroes and characters that are in the game. The sculpts are amazing on those. We're going to get those up close here in just a little bit. And those are somewhat pre-painted just to kind of give you the detail of what you got. You can see those here on the table. There's two more that's up here. But these aliens are painted up in a way that I don't know that I even put more on it. They look absolutely fantastic. And some of these other ones where they've used not just one or two colors, but 3 and 4 different colors on this to really bring out and highlight the detail that's in these, and they just look absolutely great. I mean, they are awesome. I can't say enough about Awaken Realms' ability with the sculpting and their actual miniatures that they produce. They are just absolutely awesome. Love it! Bear loves it! So there we go. We got the giveaway out there. Hit the subscribe, make a comment, follow me on Twitter. You're in. When will it end? What we will want to do is go out there and check out that Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is going to be starting really soon. So go out there, check the Kickstarter. The day the Kickstarter ends, that's the day we'll shut it down. So the day the Kickstarter ends, we'll shut it down. That way you can kind of follow along on the Kickstarter and you can learn more about the games. I'm sure there'll be other reviews out there. I'm sure there's videos, and I know there are, from Awaken Realms on various different gameplay components that you'll find with this game and mechanics. So you'll want to check those out as well. And the day the Kickstarter ends, that'll be the day we'll shut the giveaway contest down. And then I will package this all up. It did come in 2 boxes. There's a box dedicated just to the miniatures that we have here, as well as a box for all the rest of the components. And I'll ship that worldwide to whoever that random selected commenter is, and tell you, you're going to be lucky to get these bad boys. And I can't believe I keep doing this. I was kicking myself for giving the prototype away for Lords of Hellas, but the guy that won that did make some posts on the Facebook page, which was pretty awesome. And once again, I would love to keep these as well, but it's my way of kind of giving back to the team, and I think you guys are really going to like this. It's going to be a good one. So let's get into the game now. The game is another really well done game. And I'll say before we start here, I will use the reference, the rule book that we have here. Again, very prototype. It's just kind of stapled together for the prototype. And probably has a lot of work to go to get this to the production version. But we will be using it today as we go through the content, just so I make sure to hit some of the rules in the right way. I have played this game a couple times, but again, it is in prototype form, and they do utilize some various different components on the board that you'll see for a couple different things. So we'll go through that when we go through the rules. Before we get started, there's probably people that are looking at this and thinking, is this another just aliens versus mercenaries game? And on the surface, yeah, it's an aliens versus these characters, like an aliens versus mercenary kind of game where you're trying to survive. But it doesn't follow that traditional, the alien moves in, then there's combat. Can you beat all the aliens? Can you get to a certain point on the ship? Now, you ultimately will, to be able to survive the game, get to a certain point on the ship to be able to escape, and I will go over that. But it's very different, I would say, than what you would traditionally experience in a game like this. And that's one of the things I think Awaken Realms does so well, is they take a lot of different mechanics and they integrate it into a game that gives you an experience that is so much more rich than what you normally would get with a game that would follow this type of genre. And the theme is sick. I love the theme. I love the space theme. I love the alien here models, and the various characters are very cool. Like, the theme really draws me in. The look of this game draws me in, and I want to play it just because of that, because I'm just kind of a sucker for the space-based type games. That just really appeals to me. But so I felt like I was a little biased at first, but after I started to play the game, man, this is really fun. I had a great time. Bear had a great time. We're going back and forth. I ended up kind of screwing him out of the win there at the end. And that's one of the things that I like about this game as well, is that it's not a cooperative game, but over the course of game, you will be playing cooperatively with other characters quite a bit and trying to help each other accomplish certain things on the board, because everybody will have their own kind of secret objectives to be able to accomplish to win the game. So it is a single kind of siloed player game in that respect. But at the end, there may be multiple winners. So let's say there's, I got a setup here for 3 players. Let's say there's 3 players playing the game. All 3 players may win. Not because they win cooperatively, because they win for each one of their objectives. Or maybe only 2 players win, or maybe only 1 player wins, or maybe there's a player or 2 that thinks that they've won, but there's a little fun mechanic at the end that if you go into... if you leave and you end up having some contamination cards, and those contamination cards end up being, infected, you could actually not win, although you think you've kind of accomplished all your goals. So it's one little extra thing at the end that could sneak up and get you and take that win from you. There is a lot here to be able to win the game. It is a difficult game, I would say. It's definitely not a light from the perspective of, when it's your turn, you've got so many actions you can do. You're moving around, you're looking at rooms, you're going through corridors, you're trying to solve, problems that are breaking down in rooms. You might try to find certain items to accomplish certain objectives. All of those types of things are pretty simple from a gameplay perspective. And you can see the prototype book here only has about 16 pages, I believe. Yeah, so 17 pages worth of content. And, it's mixed with text as well as images. So it's not like there's an intense set of rules to be able to play the game. Where I think the difficulty comes in is it isn't just a combat game, and you shouldn't view this game like that. It isn't a how many of these alien models can I kill or interact with over the course of the game. If that's where your head is, you're going to lose, because it's difficult to actually kill these enemies. But, you get into situations where you do need to go into combat. You can also escape. But you're in lots of situations where you do need to go into combat. And there are lots of situations where you'll end up totally killing, an enemy model. But really this game is about being smart, being strategic, and staying alive until the very end and being able to accomplish your goals. Which the primary goal you have may get thrown away over the course of the game because of certain things that happen, and then you'll have to go draw yourself another alternate goal, which is right over here. So let's kind of go through the components really quick here, and then we'll get into some of the mechanics of the gameplay, because I think that's really what's important on this one. We do want to get up close to these, so when we get to the models, Bear's going to load us up for a video, and we're going to get in on close, right over my shoulder here, on exactly what these look like, because they are absolutely off the charts awesome, just like they were with Lords of Hellas. So we already took a look at our rule book here. I'm going to set it down on the side. Bear, hold that for me. We're now going to start right up here with the characters. Now, each character does come with a fantastic little sculpt model, and they are super, super high quality detail. Bear, load up the video of the models. You can check those up right there on what those look like and see how close they are. Bear, load the video! All right, technical difficulties. We do the video up now. So if we look at the sculpts, what we will see is these are resin sculpts. So all of these that you do see, just like the prototype on Lords of Hellas, are going to be the resin version of the sculpts. So that's super high quality detail for painters out there. That's where it's at. This is where the money is. So this right here is what I like to call the Trooper. We'll see what that's actually called in the final version of the game, but it is somewhat like a fighter, kind of a Trooper character, and each one of the characters are a little bit different in the action cards that they have and the abilities that they'll be able to do. Every character in the game, this is a good example, has the ability to repair rooms when they break down, because within these rooms, you don't know what's what, and we'll talk about that in a second. But as rooms do break down, characters will be able to repair those rooms. Some characters are better at repairing than others. Some characters are better at fighting than others, and so on and so on. There'll be different things in the game that characters will be able to do that other characters will not. So this is the character models, and with a character, you will get action cards, and that's right here. I do have the 6 that you start with, so you will have 10 cards that you will have action cards. You will draw 6, and that will be your hand. And over the course of the game, you'll be using those to do various different actions. And then when you're done with those cards, you'll be able to draw back up at the end. There's an end phase. You'll be able to draw back up. One thing I do want to state with these cards is I like games that use the mechanic, and this one does, where the cards don't function as just one thing. Like, here's a card, for instance, called Search. And this card, you know, has an ability that I can do right here. They got really good artwork as well. I like the artwork in the scan. They did a great job with that, too. And it says, draw an item card in color corresponding to the color of the room you're in. If item counter shows 0, you may not perform this action. Reduce count of items by 1. And we'll show you how that works here in a second. If you're in a white room, you may choose item deck from which you want to draw a card. Now this might be an instance where you want to use an action card to actually take this action and do that. But you also can use these cards to do very basic actions like, hey, I want to move. Well, if I want to move, I just cash in an action card, and that allows me to move. And it can be any one that you want. Or, hey, I want to pick up a heavy object. Well, you cash in another action card. Or, you know, there's various different actions that you can take, and you'll cash in these cards to be able to do that. And you'll have to make that decision of, do I lose this card because it's going to kind of go in the discard pile, and then obviously I'd have to cycle it back out again. Do I lose this card, or I think I'll need it next turn, or... So you have to kind of balance that as you play the game. And I like games that use that mechanic where there's multiple things you can do with your action cards, and you kind of have to balance making the decision of how you want to execute that. There is, every character will be given this round turn card, and that will be kind of secret at first and then kind of dealed out. And that just indicates sort of who's first player, second player, third player, and the actual order those players will take their turn. So that's right there. You've also got some starting items for each player. You'll see those. Each character has different starting items. For our trooper here, we got armor and assault rifle, because this character is going to be much more positioned to be more of a combat fighter than maybe some of these other, like the scientist is, better with analytical equipment, and he's got a pistol. Everybody's got something they can kind of fire with. The scout that I'm using has a rifle as well as a motion scanner. So that's the trooper. And then the fun part of this game is that every character will be giving 2 of these primary goals that are shuffled up, random. Every character gets 2, and then you will choose 1 and discard the other one. And that will give you an objective, an overall primary goal for the game that you need to accomplish to be part of the win condition. And to win, this over here is a little coordinates tracker. It needs to be pointed at Earth, And here's the coordinates kind of under this card here. It needs to be pointed at where Earth would be, and you also need to either be in the hibernatorium here, the hibernation chamber where everybody starts, or you need to be in one of these four. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 2 spots for each one, escape pods. And once those are unlocked, you can take off and escape the ship after you go into light speed towards Earth. So that's what you have to do to win. You also have to have 2 of 3 working engines. So down here on the ship, there are actually engines that are located here on the board, and 2 of those, 2 of the 3 engines have to be actively working. So you got that going on to be able just to get that win condition. And there's also a time tracker down here that's working against you over the course of the game. And you have your primary goal that you need to acquire. So for our trooper here, we got Tireless Investigator. Send the signal and all the rooms on the ship have to be discovered. Ouch! Okay, so to be able to do that, every single one of these rooms on the ship over the course of gameplay would have had to have been flipped over and discovered. So this character is going to be on the move a lot over the course of the game. You can see that already. And you have to send the signal. So there is a little mark on these cards where there's various different things where you can take wounds, if they're light wounds, heavy wounds, if you get slimed, things like that, if you're under a panic state, as well as the signal. And there's a little icon on the card. It's just a simple little icon on the card, and you would just indicate by setting something on that you've acquired that you've been able to send the signal. And you'll have to get to a certain room, and you'll have to have an item or a tool to be able to send that signal, and that's how that works. So that'll be that primary goal there. Whereas the Scientist, which might be my favorite character, I absolutely love this sculpt. It is so awesome. Love the sculpt of the Scientist here. We took a look at that a little bit earlier. But this one's all for one, one for all. The Scientist's primary goal is at least 3 of the crew members must survive, including you. Which means that in a 3-player game, all 3 players must survive for me to get this primary goal win condition. And that may not be possible. So that may be a scenario where over the course of the game, if somebody dies before the very end, and with that, you'd hope that would be the case, because if somebody dies within that last little escape and they got kind of screwed with the contamination and an alien bust out of them, then you're going to be in trouble. You're not going to be able to accomplish that. But if someone dies over the course of gameplay, you would then say, hey, I'm no longer able to get this primary goal. It's no longer valid. So you'd go over here to the alternate goals, and there'll be a few that you'll shuffle up and you'll be able to select for the game, and you would draw one of those, and then that would be your new primary goal for the game. It says alternate game. Escape using an escape pod and send the signal. So, and each one of these are a little bit different. So here we got another one. Escape using an escape pod, and you must have at least 7 items. Okay, that might be kind of hard. Escape using an escape pod, and you cannot have a serious wound or be infected. So they're all going to be a little bit different that you're going to be able to choose from. Okay, and that's how your characters are going to work, and that's how your character action cards are going to work. What you'll see right down here are the serious wound cards, and I've placed them right here. Not saying that it needs to be placed there over the course of game, but that's just kind of where I've put them. So these will be wound cards that you'll take over the course of game, and they'll have body on them. This one, they got really cool artwork of like a kind of a X-ray sort of a skeleton with a little bit of muscle structure. It says body. After the Intruder Phase, the player draws 5 cards his hand instead of 6. The wound does not affect the number of drawn. So, I mentioned you have a hand of 6 cards, and you're going to go through 3 phases. A player phase, where the players are going to be doing what they want to do, moving around, interacting with things. You might be getting in trouble with intruders during that. Then there's going to be an intruder phase, where the intruders are going to get to kind of respond and attack and move around. There's going to be some events that are going to happen. You're going to have to fight possible outbreaks of fire that, rooms catch on fire, and that fire can spread to multiple rooms. That's a real disaster that you got to deal with. But there is also an end phase, and in that end phase, you can look at that as somewhat as of a refresh phase. And I do want to I do have my Alien shirt on for today. This is pretty cool. If the Alien fans out there haven't already noticed that I'm wearing the USCS Alien shirt. Oh my god, where was I? What was I talking about? I went off on a tangent there, Bear. Thanks for throwing me off. I literally have no idea what I was talking about. All right, moving on. So down here we have a track that we're going to use. So over the course of game, at the end of the end phase, in that end phase, what you're going to be doing is really kind of refreshing somewhat of the game. Now you're most of the time going to draw back up to that 6 hands. 6 hands? No. Nobody has 6 hands here. I mean, maybe these guys? No, they don't have 6 hands. You're going to be drawing back up to the 6 cards that you would have in your hand, unless outside of a few different things. So sometimes when you are carrying a heavy item, you can't draw back up that many. If you have a heavy wound to your torso, you can't draw back up that many. Or if you are in a room actively in combat or engaged with an intruder, these considered to be intruders, then you will only be able to draw 2 cards back, not up to your 6. Now, maybe 2 cards back could take you to 6, but you're only allowed to draw 2 cards. So there are a couple stipulations with that, but generally you're going to be drawing in the end phase back up and refreshing your hand of cards back up to 6. And that's what the 3 phases of the game are going to look like. So if we look here, we do have a little track on the board, and this is another thing that's going to be kind of working against us over the course of the game. The ship is constantly sort of counting down until it will auto launch into light speed towards its coordinates, right? So you're trying to control that. You're trying to make sure that you got everything in order and you're either in this Hypertorium or you're in your escape pod ready to go by the time this bad boy counts down and it's ready to go. So at the end of every one of those rounds and you hit that end phase, you are going to advance it one towards, you're going to keep working yourself down. There's also an auto-destruct that's built into the ship, which will be triggered over the course of the game through different things that happen while you play. You may have to tick this auto-destruct down, and you don't want that going all the way down to the bottom, or boom, this whole ship goes up in flames. That's how that's going to work. Now, this nifty little piece here, which, you know, I love it when games include these little fun, you know, kind of aspects of gameplay. And this is going to come into play when you are dealing with your contamination cards, which I've put right up here. Now, you'll notice they have the same backing as a standard action card. The reason for that is it's going to get kind of shuffled into your deck, and you're not going to really know if you end up getting one of those in your hand or not. But every one of them does look the same. They look like this right here. And you'll see that at the bottom, they have this area that's just sort of like red and sort of, you know, glazed out. And what that is one of those things where if you use this scanner and you look at it, it's going to tell you if that says something or not. And, you know, out of the ones that are here, there's only a handful of them that actually say infected. So they either say not infected or infected. And that's something that at the end of the game, you're going to go through and you're going to look at these contamination cards that you might have gotten to your hand over the course of gameplay to see if you are infected or not infected. And if you're infected, then you're going to have to do another little mechanic where you shuffle all these off and then you pull off the first 4 cards. And if you do pull one of these, then you got stuck with an alien. And even though you might have been able to accomplish your objective and get on the ship and take off, you could still have died in the pod because you were infected and an alien actually, you know, busted out of you or whatever you want to say there. So that's one thing that is fun about these contamination cards. It kind of gives you this level of, you know, anytime you get one, it's only this level of, you know, oh, I wonder if it's an infected one. And because there are only just a handful of those infected in all of these cards here. But definitely a chance that you could pick one up. And it is pretty funny at the end of a game if someone's like got the big win and then they're like, oh, there's an alien inside of me. I mean, I don't know. That's just great. I love that. That's how this little nifty scanner MK4 is going to work. Do not use unless instructed. Excellent. Okay, so when we go to here, we've got a little board, and this is going to be a board that's going to help us sort of track different things in the game. So there are a few cards here that will come into play over the course of the game. They are shuffled up. They're random. That's one thing about this game that is nice, is everything is very random. There are more of these rooms than what you see here. There are more of these cards here than what you see here. And I'll go through exactly what these say on them here in a second. There are more primary goals, alternate goals. There are, there are action, all the items in the game. So there's so many things that get, sort of shuffled up, and then you select so many of them to start the game, where every game can be a little bit different because, one, you don't even know randomized where things are. And you'll notice there's 2 things on every one of these tiles. We'll talk about that here in a second. And there could be even ones that you'll never even experience within one game and then experience in another. So I love that random aspect of this game as well, that it gives you all those options that adds that replayability every time that you play. So on this board, you'll see some icons that will show you the various different symbology for these different models that you have here. You're going to have your egg tokens, and this is probably one of the most important things. There are 8 alien eggs that are included in the game, and these eggs will pop up in rooms where there are nests, and generally there will be characters that will, you can attack those eggs. You might have an objective to do that. You may do that just to do that, or you may have to actually take one of these eggs and carry it with you and escape with it as one of the objectives that you may have. So this is another example where, let's say, all the eggs, because there are 8, get eliminated from the game. Well, then you won't be able to actually accomplish that objective, and you have to go for that alternate goal again. That's what these eggs are going to be used for. There is a little health tracker here for the queen. The queen's health, which is right here on the board. Let me get this out of the way. That's right here. And then you do have these 3 cards that are on the board as well that will come into play over the course of game. Here it says Vital Places. When you attack an adult specimen and the dice shows hit, he is instantly killed. So that is a 2. So when you do undertake combat, you will roll this little die right here, and it will show you, and again, this is a prototype die, so it's just kind of stickers that's stuck on this die. It will show you different symbols, and there'll be like 1 hit, there'll be 2 hit, there'll be no hit, there'll be kind of a symbol for various different types that are on there, and if you roll that and you're combating that type, you can do a damage as well. That's what that is, and combat will be that easy. You'll roll that die and see how you actually hit. There'll be other things that you'll use, weapons as well, that will come into play with that. I'll hit this die as well while we're on die. This is the noise tracker die. So we'll go ahead and hit this component. This is what I'm using here to track noise. So as you move around through these corridors and into these rooms, if you move into a room that's empty, which means there's no intruder and there's no other character, if the room is empty, as you're moving, it's echoing, it's making noise, you'll roll this die here, and if you ever get a number that matches one of the corridors here, the numbers on the corridors, then you will put a noise token on that. Now, if you ever get 2 noise tokens, that's not good, because you then would remove the noise tokens. The noise tokens, I'm all over the place. You'll remove the noise tokens, that's hard to say, and you will draw an intruder will go and be in that room. And you're also going to get intruders put into rooms based on the exploration token that is right above each one of the rooms. So let's talk about that for a second. When you explore a room, you will go ahead and flip over this exploration token that's on the top. Now, the number that's on there will indicate how many items are in the room that can be searched and found. And then you'll flip over the tile and you'll be able to see what this room is. It's like, oh, okay, well, this room is the lab. So it's used for researching intruders. It has a little 2 with cards on it, which means that it takes a little longer to do that type of action. So you have to use 2 action cards, discard 2 action cards instead of 1 if you want to, take advantage of the lab for one reason or the other. And then you will see that there's numbers all the way around the edges. And you'll just place, there's a little item here, there's a little triangle that's right here. You'll place that on there. Well, this said 1, so I'll go here to 1 and I'll place it on there that way. And then once this room is searched and that 1 item is gone, I'll then turn this tile towards facing 0, and then all the players know nothing else can be found here. And I like that as well. It isn't like you can just continue to keep moving into rooms and saying, I'll search, and it doesn't matter what room you go in. Once you drain a room of items, there are no more items in the room to be searched, so you may have to traverse to another area of the ship and go to another room if you need items and you're in need of something. And I like that as well. This also indicates to me that there's a little fire token, which means, guess what? This room is now on fire, which is a problem for us, because that fire can spread through events, which are right up here. And part of that intruder phase, remember we got 3 phases: player phase, then the intruder phase, then the end phase. Part of that intruder phase, at the very end of that phase, after all the intruders attack, then you're going to look for fires and have to deal with those, and then you're going to draw an event card. An event card is going to do a lot of other things, and they're all different. So I'll look at this one. It's called Deployment Laying Eggs. It's going to indicate certain types of intruders. So this one here shows me that adults, as well as breeders, wherever they are, will move up to 2. So they'll go ahead and they'll move corridors and rooms. That's how that works. There's movement right there. And then on the bottom it says, if the queen is alive, but she is not present on the board, put an egg token on in a nest. If the queen is present on the board, but she is not in the fight, put her token into the intruder pool. All the players present in the room with no intruder have to perform the noise roll in order. So that's what this event's going to do, and every event's going to be different, and it's always going to add yet another layer of something that's going to be happening and we're going to need to deal with either cooperatively or individually. Because remember, it's not a cooperative game, but it has aspects of a cooperative game. You will definitely be helping each other during the course of the game. So then at this point, this is no longer necessary. We've kind of set this room up and what it's going to be. And every room would work like that. After we use an action to kind of move into a room and do some exploring, we'd flip it over. So this one has claw marks with a number 4. So we'd flip this over and say that's a room that we went to. And we'd see, oh, okay, this is the monitoring room. You can look at one unrevealed room. That's cool. And if you wanted to do that, you'd have to discard 2 action cards to be able to take that action. But it's 4, which is nice. It's a good amount of items. It's actually the max that you can search within a room. So we'll set that, our little triangle here, right at 4, and we'll count that down as items are searched and found in the room. And it does have a claw mark, which indicates that we do have to do a noise roll twice. And if we do get, more than, we end up getting the 2 in these quarters, we roll these numbers. So we got a 2, we got a 3, and we got a 4. So we roll this, and we got a 2. Okay, well, let's roll it again because we got to do it twice. And we got a 4, which is here. Okay, we're good. Nothing actually came up. There was just some sounds in corridors. But if we would have rolled a 4 and a 4, then all of a sudden, okay, we would have had an intruder that would spawn here in this room, and we'd go to the bag, we'd reach in, we'd grab the token, and we'd find out that it is a young intruder. There's a little picture on that token that will show you there. And that does correspond to one of these awesome guys right here, and then now a young intruder would be in this room, let's say with the scientist that maybe was the one that moved to that room. Again, everybody's going to start here in the center in this Hypertorium and then start to branch out and move out. So let's say that they started there and he kind of branched out and used an action to get, used actions to get over into this room here. That's how that's going to work. When you've drawn that token, you are going to set that to the side there. You're not going to replace it back in the bag. One special thing with that, there are tokens in here that correspond to the larvas, and those are our models that are right up front here. There are 6 of them, these tiny little alien larvae. If you do draw one of those, you're going to take that little larva token and you're going to set it on your player. It's going to stay there, and the little larva token is actually going to follow your character around now for the rest of the game until either you or it dies. And that's a problem if you actually exit the ship with one of these little guys as well. Hopefully he dies in hyperspace, but there's another chance that potentially you could become infected and that could be a problem. But hopefully you get back to Earth and you're treated before it ends up being an issue and you don't get kind of hit with that final end game sort of mechanic if you've got those contamination cards. So I do like the fact these little larvae sort of follow you around throughout the course of the game, and you got to figure out a way to get rid of these things to get them off you, and there's various different ways and rooms you can go to be able to do those types of things. So that's how these rooms are going to work, and that's how exploration is going to work. Very simple, and that's how the player's turn is going to kind of play out. Then what you're going to do is the intruder phase is going to come into play, where you're going to go through, and everywhere there's a room where there is an intruder in with a character, they're going to be able to attack. And you're going to draw these cards right here, which are the Intruder Cards that allow those intruders to attack. And there's various things on there that will say what they do and how they attack. You just follow those cards. The other way these cards are used is they do have a little shield and a number right up at the top. And that's what's difficult when you get into combat with these, trying to kill them, because every time you hit them, it does 1 damage. And you'll indicate that it has damage. And then what's going to happen is you never know how much health any of these have. And that's the beauty to it. It's always, you don't know really what you're going into. This guy may be a brute or he may be easy, and you don't really know with every single model, because you're going to draw one of these cards and you're going to look at this number right here. And if you don't have that many wounds already against this one, he stays alive. So if I draw this first one's 5 and I'd only hit him 3 times, he made it, he's alive. Now the next round, I draw another card. Oh, now it's P. Well, this little P actually indicates that they're able to kind of escape, and there's a mechanic with that as well where it can escape and run away. Let's head and draw that. He didn't want to run away. Well, this one says 6. Oh no, he's still alive. Maybe I only hit him 1 more time. Then I draw again. Oh, 5. Oh, this is not looking good. This guy is a brute. He's staying alive forever. Oh, finally, I drew one that says 3. Now, on that round, after I had done, damage or not, he would have already had those 3 wounds, and boom, then I would have been able to make that kill and take out that enemy. So you'll see sometimes you might draw that 2, a 2 or 3 right off the bat and be able to take them down really quick, or they may just continue to live and live and live based on the random, shuffle of these intruder attack cards. So I really like that mechanic too. You really never know what you're going up against, and you don't know what the health of that particular model is going to be. And I like that. I like that mechanic, that it is kind of a surprise every time. So we've gone over that. We've gone over rooms. We've gone over the noise tokens. We've hit this board here. We've kind of gone over the importance of, you have different coordinates here that you point to Mars, Earth, Venus, new different galaxies, and those numbers do correspond to the numbers that you'll see here. You do want to be pointing to Earth at the end of the game to win. There are these little little corridor doors that will come up depending on different things that happen with rooms and the encounter on the room, remember. It may indicate that there's a locked door to get into that room. So, if you flip one over and it's this says the room's damaged, and you have to repair rooms if they're damaged before you can use them, which is another mechanic I love. But you can flip one over and it might have a little door symbol on it. Well, then this locked door comes down and you got to deal with that. So something else there that I do like. We've hit our event cards. These are contamination cards. That's with the nifty little reader here that comes into play. We got item cards. Up here we got panic cards. So these are different situations you'll get into if you're really under a lot of stress. You'll get into a panic. And there'll be various different things on here that will play out. You'll draw these cards. If the player has less than 3 cards in his hand, he gets a light wound and takes a panic token. So there's just different things that will happen to you if you're in a panic, in the game. We hit the intruder cards. These are various different types of items. So you got green, yellow, and red. Your green are going to be more healing type items like bandages and synthetic food. You've got clothes, med kits, different things you can pick up when you're searching the rooms that you may need to heal up, or you may just need them for various different things. These here are going to be items that are going to be more like tools. So here's a chemical and actual tools. Here's some clothes, tools, energy charge, various things like that you'll need to interact with rooms and different things in the game. And these are going to be more combat, your red ones here with the bullets. You're going to get a concussion grenade. What else we got here? There's an energy charge in this one as well. So you can get some of the same items within these various different decks. Prototype Assault D. It's a really cool looking painted up kind of assault weapon there. So just, various items that you can get to do some combat damage while you're playing. And that is pretty much all of our items that we have, or the components that are in the prototype. Now, there are some other little cubes that I have that were included, and a few other little things. This is pretty much what I would use, and I have been using to kind of play the game. And again, you can use various components for different types of things. Things that may be sitting in a room, you could use the blue tokens for, or you could use the yellow as well, as long as it's sitting on a tile. It's completely up to you. So whoever wins this unbelievable prototype, you can kind of play that as you see fit. And it does call it out in the rules here exactly how you can use these items, and it does indicate the items are used for multiple things. So just to review a couple things here. I will mention, when it comes to movement, there is somewhat of a follow-on action. Not really follow-on, but it's something you can do simultaneously. So let's say another character said, the scientist was here and the scout was here, and it was the scout's turn, and the scout said, you know what, I'm moving out. You as a player, in it not being your turn, can decide to go ahead and move out with that scout. Because maybe you feel like you have a better chance of survival, or that may be a time where you want to kind of cooperate with another character, and you can choose to move out with that character as well. Now you do have to discard an action card as well to move, and you do have to do noise checks as well as you move. And you'll have to decide if you want to do that before you move. Okay, so it's not like you can do a noise check and then say, oh, okay, I'll go ahead and move. You have to do the noise check, you have to discard your action, and then say, okay, now let's play it out. So that is something you kind of have to call before you do. When it gets to your actions as a player, there are 3 different types of actions that you can take: basic actions, special actions, and room actions. Basic actions are going to be the things that we've kind of been going over here. Moving, escaping from rooms, escaping from intruders, if you would like to do that. Using an item, picking up a heavy object and carrying that object from point A to point B, passing items, shooting, close combat, things of that nature. Special actions are going to be the longer actions, actions of rooms that do indicate, as various other actions as well, when it comes to your actual actions on your cards that have that little 2 cards with a number 2. That's going to indicate it takes a little bit longer to do that. It's going to be more of your special actions. Then you'll have room actions, which again are just the actions that are right on the rooms. You also have special equipment that you can pick up. You'll find those right here, which will be flamethrowers, tasers, Molotov cocktails, and antidotes to various different illnesses that you can get. So that's the actions that you'll be able to do when it's your turn. You then have the exploration. We already went over that. The intruders will be able to attack. Again, you got the combat die here that you're going to be using. These intruders do die as well as anything else, but again, it is pretty difficult to be able to kill those intruders. And the last thing that I want to hit is we did talk a little bit around, Bear, hold that. We did talk a little bit around the number of eggs that are in the game, and those can run out. But there is events in the game that will, this is our queen here, this larger model, that will allow the queen to lay more eggs, and the eggs will become available again. I do want to talk a little bit more about our Intruder Board as well, because there's a really cool mechanic that happens with this Intruder Board. These 3 cards here, which again are random, there's more than just 3 in the game, so it's different every time, are Intruder Weaknesses, and those are revealed over the course of gameplay depending on a crew member body, intruder egg, and an intruder corpse. So when you start the game, you're going to put all the characters out there, and then one of the characters is going to be randomly killed, okay? And that character will just die, and it's like, let's say it's this one right here where the blood stain is. That character won't be available anymore to choose from when the characters now use their turn order card to be able to make a choice of which character they want. That character just died in hibernation. Well, if you go to that, that character there, the crewman body, you then can reveal that, and it gives you one of the weaknesses, and you get to learn a little bit about the species that you're going to be fighting. Well, let's say that you get into contact with a intruder egg. Well, once you do, and you use the laboratory, and that's how you get these exposed. You have to go to the lab, you have to find the laboratory. Well, here it is. Here's the lab right here. I actually revealed that one, used for researching intruders. You could go here, use 2 action cards, and then, review what's happened to the crewman body, and then be able to flip that over and get that. And for the rest of the game now, you'll have that knowledge. For the rest of the game, that rule will be in play. Once you get to an intruder egg, you can then say, oh, here's an intruder egg, and you can come to the lab and research it, and then figure out, oh, Well, each intruder affected by fire extinguisher or fire control system retreats to get 1 hit. Okay, that's good. Now I know that. That's one way more that I can fight these things. And then the last one is Intruder Corpse. So once you're able to kill one of these aliens, you can get to a lab, learn about it, and then know that now if an adult specimen attacks you with the attack card, the bites, it causes a light wound instead of a serious wound. So, that's something to know as well. So it is very advantageous for you as you do have these things that happen over game, that you get to the lab and you find the lab and you do research these things, because it will give you benefit to understanding more about, your adversary, of what you're up against and how you can combat that adversary. So you definitely want to do that. That is Nemesis in a nutshell, how to play, the mechanics of the game, and how all the different various mechanics are going to kind of work together to give you a really rich, and I will stress, difficult game. It is not easy to win this game, but I find that games that are designed like this is what brings players back to the table over and over again. I'll also mention that the board to this game is awesome. They went with this neoprene mat, right? This is not a piece of paper. It's not cardboard. This is an actual neoprene mat that you play on, and I think it works really well for everything. It keeps things in place. They don't slide all over the place. They kind of lightly just, are attached to the board, and then just very, very nice job on the board here. I'm glad they went with this type of component for the actual board. That's it, guys. That's the game. It is awesome. Highly recommend. You do not want to miss out on this one. Even if the space theme, the alien theme doesn't appeal to you, it is a fantastic cooperative / individual player game. Again, it's not going to be categorized as a cooperative game. This game will have solo rules as well, so you can play this game from a solo perspective, which I think is awesome. Hopefully you watch until the end of this video so you can see that it is a solo game as well. We are going to be doing that epic giveaway. I'm excited about this giveaway. I just think this is going to be so great. I cannot wait to select the winner on this one. I remember how much excitement there was around the Lords of Hellas giveaway of that exclusive limited prototype edition. Let me tell you guys, there isn't very many of these out there. I can tell you, I don't know how many there are, but there isn't that many. I mean, these are super limited resin prototype editions of this game. I am crazy for giving this away, but I feel like it's the right thing to do for the channel, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I can't wait to see who ends up winning this one. You're going to be getting some fantastic models, and I hope you're a painter, because, these things are unbelievable. Again, I wouldn't even touch these. I think they did a fantastic job with the way they're painted up. However, I would absolutely paint up your characters in the game, because those are just going to be lightly dusted with a black and a white to highlight all the detail that's there. But those absolutely would look fantastic painted up. And again, they're the resin miniatures on this. So again, hit that subscribe button. You want to follow me on Twitter, and you want to make a comment below on this video, and that's how you get entered. We'll shut the contest down on the last day of when the Kickstarter ends. This Kickstarter is going to be starting very soon. Go to the Awaken Realms Facebook page, go search that on Google, and you'll find all the details around that game. We are going to be taking a look here pretty soon at the finalized production run of Lords of Hellas that is shipping now. The Kickstarter versions are out there shipping. We're also going to be taking a look pretty soon at another game out of these guys called Siege Storm, which is a card game which looks a lot of fun. They've got a website up for it already, and it does look like it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll have to get into that one. I'll have to have some time to kind of play that a little bit and understand the mechanics and see how it might be a little bit different than your traditional player versus player card combat collectible card game. So that's one we will be taking a look at soon, very, very soon. All right, I'm going to exit this with some overview of these models, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go through and look up close at each one of these models outside of the video that Bear loaded up for us a little bit earlier when we did kind of the overview of the components that we have on the table, as well as some of the models. I am going to do a few minutes here where we actually get in the camera on very closely into these models so we can really check out the sculpts that we've got here. available for us. So with that, Awaken Realms, once again, you nailed it. Awesome game, awesome sculpts, excellent delivery. I can't wait for the Kickstarter. Guys, be watching for that. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team, ring the bell. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time. Nemesis! All right, guys, we are going to take a quick look at each one of these different types of alien models. We did get a good look at the characters that we have here in front of us in the overview video, but I really want to get detailed in on these, and you can just see, look at that. Just awesome. I mean, even the paint they did with that sun drop looks fantastic. I love the mud brown that they added there to the claws and kind of on the ground. You'll see that is every single model is a little bit different. None of them look exactly the same. And that's what's so awesome about these. You can see the detail there. It's just incredible. Look at that. I love the use of the teal as it sits kind of in those indentations there on the back sort of, I don't know, bone or armor of that. Just looks absolutely awesome. So cool. Right, that's what those look like. Now let's get here to our breeders. These are the breeders, which are going to be the bigger models. Not as bad as the Queen, but they are a bigger model, and these are kind of a dark, they've done a dark base with an awesome metallic teal, and it actually kind of rainbows almost, like looks like multiple different colors of teal that are on there. It's kind of a metallic look to that sculpt, and those are just awesome. Look at that. The detail on the chest. Trying to get the focus in well on the hand. It's got a lot, there we go. It's got a lot of detail in it. Even with as tiny as it is, just great level of detail. You can see the size there, putting those down next to the characters, it just towers over them. That breeder does. That looks awesome. All right, let's pull in some of these other, and we're going to look at a couple here because every one again looks completely different because every one is kind of a custom sprayed job. So in looking at this one here, these have an immense amount of look to them. Now the breeders in this prototype edition have more of a plain base where they've done a little bit extra on these, and they've added this very tiny mesh that's sort of attached to the top of the base, which gives it kind of that mesh grate sort of look, which I think was a nice little touch for the prototype edition here. And then you can see the paint job on that. I just love the paint that they chose for these. It really gives it that high reflective metallic look. Look at the spikes there on the legs and just those kind of bones that go down towards the side of that leg. Just the amount of quality and sculpting that's in these resin sculpts. Just awesome. We'll take a look at this one here because this one does have a little bit of a lighter look to it versus that one that we just looked at was a little bit darker. You can see the use of the coloring on that a little bit of a different way to give it a little bit of a different look. And we're going to try to get up close here on this. Just unbelievable detail. I mean, you can see that there's actually sculpting that goes up under some of that head armor that's actually on the sculpt, which is pretty awesome. They went to the lengths of, doing sculpting that's actually up under body armor or bone pieces of the actual alien sculpt, which I think kind of goes that extra mile of making that sculpt that much better. Here we'll see here the little alien as well. This is the little larva. Very highly detailed too, just even in its little sculpt that it's included. And there are 6 of these. Each one is painted, as you see right here. And each one of them does look identical in the way that they actually look. And then to our massive queen. And we'll see here that the queen is the biggest sculpt. And she is up on some form of a little metal platform here, which I think has really awesome sculpting as well. You'll be able to see there. And she follows the same form as everything we've seen so far. Just a high level of sculpting. I really like the headpiece on this particular model. They did a great job with it. You take a look there. How cool is that? It's like the hand here sort of comes off as almost like one of the kind of, larva there. You can see that the queen is actually, let me show you here. The queen is actually holding one of those larva sculpts in her hand. So you can see if we get up under here, there you go. You can see that that's actually one of those larvae, and the queen is actually holding that, which I think is a really cool way to sculpt that. That's just really well done. Just kind of adding that, look at the mouth there. Just kind of adding that detail to the sculpt. I think kind of goes that extra mile, that Awaken Realms quality, that they really bring the sculpts and the characters to life with adding those little things like that. I think we saw that in Lords of Hellas as well, with a lot of the sculpts that were included there. Just the extra touches and sculpting and design with the models that really bring them to life and add a lot of character and flavor to the way that they look. And again, if you're a high-end painter and you're the lucky winner of this prototype, then you may decide to continue to base these and paint them up if you want them to look different. But I'll tell you, these models in particular, I think just look fantastic the way that they're set up already, and they already have their own very artistic, in my opinion, fully painted design, where then you can just kind of focus your efforts more on the characters and paint those up. After you get the actual final production version of the game, you can use these here to just put on display and then play with the models that you get in your Kickstarter production version of the game if you choose to back that Kickstarter, which I highly suggest that you do. So again, guys, this is just an overview of the models. I did want to add this into the video for all the painters and individuals that are highly interested in these sculpts out there. I wanted to add this just so you can kind of see a very close-up and in detail version of what you will be receiving if you get this limited edition copy of Nemesis.
Been on the